one hopes that the conditions will remain the same. Usually when the rain starts arriving in, it's the old wind whips it along, doesn't it? And we haven't got that at the moment.
Well, again, Nick, you say that, right? And I've just come onto the grid now, and I'm looking up towards the flags, and the wind has definitely picked up. There's a bit more of a breeze here, and for the first time today, the sun has disappeared behind the clouds.
Fingers crossed, 30 laps of the Sachsenring. Big smile from Casey Stone. It's been a real mishmash of a weekend, as it was for in Assen for him, but of course in Assen, it worked out for him perfectly. He went on to win the race quite comfortably in the end there. He was so pleased to win that race. He's had his ups and downs here. So a breakdown of his #1 bike in qualifying yesterday, then a crash in the warm-up this morning. Ben Spees, pressure's on. I think he handles pressure quite brilliantly, Ben Spees. Says he wants to get the Yamaha business sorted out by Laguna Seca. By that he means he wants to re-sign for the factory Yamaha team. A good result here would be a massive help, plus a good result in Mugello before he flies home to America for the race in California. Prime Minister of the Free State of Saxony, Stanislav Tilic here, talking to Carmelo Espeleta, of course, the CEO of Adorna Sports. And that is a helicopter view of the Sachsenring. Grand Prix racing returning here following the unification of Germany, 1998. Before then it was the East German Grand Prix, of course now, and then in 1998, the German Grand Prix. Here's Dani Pedrosa, takes his place on the front row of the grid. We said a lot about his record, but his last Grand Prix win came at Motegi in Japan last year. Poised to sign a new contract with Honda, it does appear that it will be him and Marc Marquez in the Repsol Honda team next season, following the announcement of the retirement of Casey Stoner, of course, before the race at Le Mans in France. And here is Alvaro Bautista, is in a sort of little box all on his own at the moment. Oh no, sorry, this is a Michele Pirro. No, it is Bautista in his little box. Does that mean that?
No.
He hasn't gone out
just
yet.
All the teams have those now, just surrounding each of them on the grid. It's just that he's right at the back of the grid. That's
I just thought he might, because he was at the back of the grid, they were saying you've got a separate little box. Cruel up for Alvaro Bautista, but he'd take it on the chin. I suppose there's nothing else he could do, really. And I think it's something that's just been forgotten, put in on the back burner now, also by Jorge Lorenzo.
Cal Crutchlow heads up row 2, another great performance. Been on the in the top 5 on the grid. It's every race so far this year, apart from, of course, at Silverstone, where he started from the back. But every qualifying he's taken part in the top 5, and I think he hoped he was going to be on that front row. Wasn't to be, but it will be interesting to see with the clouds coming over. Interesting to see how the temperature affects his race.
Well, I'm just down on the back of the grid. You mentioned Alvaro Bautista. He's here on the last spot on the grid after that incident in Assen. His race face is on. He's thinking about those opening laps, obviously. But I'm just going to grab a quick word with his crew chief, Antonio Jimenez. Antonio, what's the plan for the start of this race for Alvaro?
Well, the plan is, make a very, very good start, and so we play our game here with the soft tires. It looks like everybody are with the hard tire, and we are with the soft one. So Bridgestone recommend to go with the hard because the temperature is high. It's 30 laps, a long time on the side here. But anyway, we have to play something different as the other. So we start with the soft to have a better initial potential, and I hope this will work because anyway, we have nothing to lose and much to win.
Okay, thanks, Antonio, and good luck this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
But that's the gamble you should take, I think, if you're that far down.
Ian, it feels a lot cooler than it did for warm-ups to me out there. It might not be such a strange gamble.
No, exactly. How you know that from your air-conditioned box, I don't know. But it is, honestly, it feels on the grid about 5, 6, maybe even 8 or 9 degrees cooler than it did an hour ago during the Moto2 race. So, okay, the track temperature, we know this track retains the heat, that we're going to see that go down maybe 1 or 2 degrees over the course of the race if we don't get the sun back out. So I still think with that soft rear tyre, it's going to be a bit of a long shot for Alvaro Bautista.
We just saw there the chairman of the board of Audi, Rudy Stadler, alongside Mr. Bonomi from Ducati, and Carmelo Espeleta, the CEO of Dorna. Of course, big takeover happening for Ducati by Audi as well. and in the press speculating that's maybe why they're just stalling on whether Rossi will stay or not. Will that help him stay? Will it also, is that why he's happy with the plan now? I don't know. Nicky Hayden's came out at the end of the last race and was a little bit gripey about the fact that Cal Crutchlow had clearly been offered a contract and his option hadn't been taken up, but I think he still has an option there to stay with Ducati for next year. It's all going to pan out over the next couple of weeks. He starts from the third row of the grid. Could easily have been in pole though.
Well, I'm down now on the second row of the grid with Stefan Bradl. Stefan, big race this afternoon here in front of the home crowd at the Sachsenring, but are you treating it any different to any other MotoGP race?
Yeah, for sure it's different, because the premium class for me is for sure is something special. I feel good now. I'm looking forward to race in front of that crowd. I feel a lot of support. It's a great feeling for me, and now I hope to make a good race, because we are prepared. I think we all know which tires we're using, and 30 laps is a long race, but our pace is not so bad. So let's see. Maybe also the weather can change. We'll see. It will be an exciting race.
Well, good luck this afternoon. Let's hope you give the home fans something to cheer about.
Thank you.
Yeah, Stefan Bradl is qualified on that second row. Right behind him, 4-time Sachsenring winner in the Premier class, Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, lines up in ninth. Didn't quite go to plan. We thought the wets might see the best come out. It was actually Hayden who threatened for pole most. Didn't quite work for Rossi. And one of the big problems they have here is edge grip as well. Something that Honda have complained about as well this year with the Bridgestone. Interesting to see how that develops during the race for both Nicky Hayden in 7th and Valentino Rossi in 9th on the grid, both on the third row.
Yeah, big discussion. Valentino Rossi and Steve Schenkner there, of course, the tyre technician for Bridgestone, a former podium finisher here in the 125cc class. Been a mixed up weekend for the Espargaros as well. Aleix with a crash, a mechanical problem in Assen kept him out of the points. Crash here on Friday morning, but there he is, 10th fastest and at the leading CRT bike.
Yeah, on board the ART machine, and Espargaros look really good. He is the top CRT rider in the standings in 12th place, just a point ahead of his teammate Randy de Punier. Hector Barbera qualified alongside him in the middle of the 4th row of the grid. A little bit of criticism from Jorge Lorenzo's mechanics and pit board when they suggested he spent most of his time in practice getting a toe off other riders, but he is there in 11th place. He had a nasty crash though during qualifying.
Yeah, got 2 second places here in 125 and 250, Hector Barbera, so he can't be following everybody all the time. And Colin Edwards, good to see him further up the grid. He's qualified 12th fastest, 4th here in 2007 is his best result, but he stormed off really, didn't he, in Assen. He was so fed up with the performance of the bike and just parked it and disappeared.
Yeah, they've had a lot of improvements on the electronic side of things this weekend. There were lots of talk as well. They may soon change bikes there, but I wonder if this weekend might encourage them to stick with BMW and Suter that little bit longer.
Randy de Punier, he is qualified 13th fastest on that CRT Aspar bike. Bad memories here, broke his leg badly 2 years ago on the LCR Honda in a nasty crash involving actually Alvaro Bautista. There was nothing to do with Alvaro Bautista, the crash itself. 13th in the World Championship, as Gav was saying. Big battle between him and his teammate Aleix Espargaro for that CRT category.
Mattia Pezzini, another one to have a nasty crash this weekend. He had one out on track, but also in pit lane on Friday morning. Hit a mechanic when he was coming in who stepped in front of him, and thankfully both were okay. Could have been a lot worse than it was. Qualified down in 14th position on board the ART bike, but having a solid enough season.
Yeah, he is. Former winner here in the 125cc class as well, Pezzini. Quite a lot of places you go to, you forget how many Grand Prix he's won, don't you? We go to Mugello next week, he's won there 125 and 250s, I think.
All these riders are up here through some kind of merit. They've done something in their careers to give them a shot at MotoGP. There's no one really hanging about, even amongst the CRT riders. Danilo Petrucci, top Superstock rider last year and given his chance. Giampiero Sacchi's seen something in him. He's the youngest rider on the grid in MotoGP as well. Talks he may even get a go on the Ducati at Mugello. They're testing after the race there in Italy, and there's some rumours in the Italian press that Saki's had a word, and Ducati are interested in him in the future. And they say, why not give him a go on a MotoGP bike and just see what he's like?
Somebody else is having a good season, Michele Pirro, 9th in the race in Assen. It was a difficult start to the year with that FTR Gresini Honda. He had a crash in qualifying as well, so he did start on the 6th row of the grid, 16th place.
Do you know what's interesting as well? He's used the least amount of engines, than any of the CRT bikes. So clearly, Casey Stoner's only on his second engine, so the MotoGP engine works brilliantly, and the engine they've got for their CRT bike also, reliability, not too much of an issue it seems, although remember Stoner did have a bit of an engine problem yesterday. There's Yoni Hernandez, he's down in 17th on the grid, and alongside him Ivan Silva, he's on his 6th engine, so could well be later on in the year that he could be starting a race from pit lane.
Down on to 19th place, that's James Ellison, 13th here in 2006. He has ridden here before, 17th in the World Championship. Still recovering from that horrible warm-up crash at Silverstone 3 weeks ago. And Alvaro Bautista, very back of the grid, 8th in the World Championship. Good record here, podiums in 125 and 250. 7th last year, all due though to that Assen crash.
He would have been down though in 11th place on the grid anyway, and that's more fruit, I suppose, of all the work that Antonio Jimenez, as he said to Ian, that they've been trying to do and just trying to find something different to give them a chance in the race.
Interesting that he's using that softer rear tyre. He's going to take a gamble and come through. I hope he's going to be careful at turn 1, which is considerably more difficult than turn 1 last time out.
Well, 4 wins to Lorenzo, 3 to Casey Stoner. They are joint top of the championship, both on 140 points. Lorenzo nursing a bit of an ankle injury. Stoner, well, he seems okay from the crash he had in Assen. Just, I think the confidence has helped him through that one. But Lorenzo starts from the 2nd row. How important will that be come the end of the race?
And Lorenzo has never won at the Sachsenring. He's been 2nd here for the last 3 years.
Last time he was 5th on the grid was Mugello last year, and he went on to win that race when we thought Casey Stoner was the favourite. It was also a tricky weekend for them. Let's see what happens today. On the front row we saw Dani Pedrosa, Ben Spees, and after a win in Assen, joint leader in the World Championship and the reigning world champion from pole is Casey Stoner.
Well, a very good afternoon to you from the Sachsenring in Germany. Round 8 of the MotoGP World Championship. The front row for the 30-lap race, Stoner, Spees and Pedrosa. 2nd row, Crutchlow, Lorenzo and Stefan Bradl, the local hero.
Row 2, the Ducatis of Hayden and Rossi sandwich. Andrea Dovizioso had a bit of trouble to qualify yesterday. Aleix Espargaro heads up row 4 alongside Hector Barbera. And Colin Edwards having a much better weekend on board the forward racing BMW Suter.
Row 5, Randy De Punier, Mattia Bassini and Danilo Petrucci. And row 6, Michele Pirro, Yoni Hernandez and Ivan Silva. Silva and Petrucci making their Sachsenring debuts. That back row, James Ellison, Franco Battaini replacing the injured Karel Abram, and Alvaro Bautista. That's the penalty for what happened in Assen 8 days ago.
Yeah, some of the riders suggested that putting Bautista at the back of the grid after a penalty whereby he braked too late into turn 1 wasn't the wisest idea, but he's not that kind of rider, Alvaro. That was some people's argument against the penalty, and he will try and make up as many positions as he can, but I'm sure he'll be ultra aware of what he's doing.
Tyre choice, Ian, we think everybody's really gone, the main players we think have gone with that harder compound.
Yeah, it looks like all the prototype bikes are on the harder compound front and rear, with the exception of Alvaro Bautista, as Antonio Jimenez said on the grid. A couple of the CRT riders gone for the softer option rear because those bikes aren't going to work the rear tyre quite so hard. Be interesting to see how they get on towards the latter stages of the 30-lap race.
And just in terms of the temperature now, it still looks as though it's clouded over. Has the temperature dropped considerably?
The ambient temperature certainly has dropped considerably. It feels a lot cooler, there's a bit of a breeze, but we know that the track temperature is not going to vary over the course of this race.
Yeah, it retains it, doesn't it? We've seen this weekend the sun was shining on Friday morning, poured it down, and then within a couple of moments it was dry. So really, I think the harder option must be the right option. We will see as this race develops. There were a couple of issues with that harder tyre in Assen. Remember, for the likes of Ben Spees, Valentino Rossi, Hector Barbera as well. Bridgestone sent the tyres off to Japan. They said, not a problem with the batch, not a problem with the construction or the rubber, just too hot. And they weren't necessarily the right tyres for those kinds of conditions. And they say they shouldn't be, there won't be any problems today. I hope they can guarantee that one. How the championship stands now? Well, Lorenzo and Stoner, as we've said, joint on points. Dani Pedrosa is 19 points behind him, and then the big gap back to Cal Crutchlow. Can Dani Pedrosa, that's the big question, can he get involved in the title fight with a win today?
Round 8 of the MotoGP World Championship here at the Sachsenring in Germany. Good afternoon, I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me Gavin Emmett, down in pit lane, Ian Wheeler. Casey Stoner on pole. He shares that top position in the World Championship with Jorge Lorenzo, who starts from the second row of the grid. 30 laps of the Sachsenring, we're underway.
Great start from Ben Spees from the front row. We normally talk about Dani Pedrosa. We are still going to be talking about Dani Pedrosa. He goes into turn 1 first, ahead of Spees. Stoner drops a couple of positions. He's hung out to dry a little bit by Spees, and Stoner fires it back on the inside of the American. So it's Pedrosa from Stoner, Spees, and then Lorenzo's made up a spot. Dovizioso has got past Crutchlow, as has Stefan Bradl into 5th place.
Round the outside, Lorenzo, wasn't it, at turn 1, and it paid off, so Lorenzo hasn't let the two Hondas get away yet. We thought Dani Pedrosa would make the start. He is probably the favourite for the race, but everybody's safely through turn 1, and that's always a relief here at the Sachsenring.
Crutchlow, the big loser, from 4th down into 7th place. He's got Dovizioso and now Brattle as well ahead of him. Dovizioso was attacking Brattle and has got through at the fast turn 8. They go up the hill for the first time. Casey Stoner desperate to get past his teammate. Dani Pedrosa already through turn 9 and then 10 into the fast turn 11 and down the cliff face. Stoner looking strong on this early lap, wanting to attack early. He's not going to do so.
Yeah, very close to Dani Pedrosa. That is the favourite place to overtake here at the Sachsenring as they come through 12, up the slight rise, up to 13. Jorge Lorenzo looks up the inside of Ben Spees. No way through for him.
Crutchlow wanted to get past Brattle there, but Brattle braked too late for him. So across the line, it's Dani Pedrosa leading from Casey Stoner after the first lap of the German Grand Prix. Still 29 more to go. Lorenzo looks on the inside of Spees. No way through for him. Stefan Bradl blocking the line for Cal Crutchlow. He'll want to get past the German as soon as possible. Nicky Hayden also looking good in these early stages ahead of his teammate Valentino Rossi, who's in 8th place. It's Hector Barbera in 10th, Aleix Espargaro in 11th, Depunier 12th, Pirro 13th, and Alvaro Bautista has made it through into 14th place already.
Up over the top they come, they plunge down towards turn 7. The two Hondas still lead the way. You get the feeling Lorenzo really wants to get past Ben Spees because he's slightly worried that these two might clear off at the front.
And also Stoner as well looks very fast behind Pedrosa and happy just to sit tight. Look at him on the inside through turn 9. It's a very fast pass from Casey Stoner on lap 2 here in Germany. Stoner now leads from his teammate Dani Pedrosa. Stoner wants to get away. He looks so quick in warm-up this morning. Has he just found something that will just allow him to escape in this race? Again, Lorenzo has a look, but no way through. And Barbera is going to attack Rossi as Crutchlow gets past Brattle.
What a manoeuvre that was by Casey Stoner. I think Jorge Lorenzo now really will put some pressure on Ben Spees, but not the place you see overtaking a great deer here at the Sachsenring. Brave mover by Casey Stoner. He's had his problems. He had a crash in the morning warm-up.
Can't remember too many overtaking manoeuvres in turn 9 here at Sachsenring. Often it's there, turn 1, or down at turn 12, but it was a place Pedrosa wasn't expecting it. Stoner found a little bit more coming up the hill and went through comfortably enough as well. Crutchlow is through and has held it on Brattle. Now has to close down a slight gap to his teammate Dovizioso, just half a second separating the two Tech 3 riders. Just actually over the line was 3/4, and now it's moved up to a second. So a bit of work to do for the British rider. On board with Jorge Lorenzo, who was leading the championship going into the Assen round, and then it all seemed to go wrong.
Yeah, we ride rhythm. This is going back up the hill, up through turn 8. This is where Casey Stoner made that amazing move on Dani Pedrosa to take the lead. Don't forget, Dani Pedrosa has won here 3 times in the MotoGP class for the last 2 years, but he's hanging on grimly. Stoner's got the hammer down at the front. Lorenzo does not want him to get away, but I don't think there's an awful lot he can do at the moment. And closing on Lorenzo is Andrea Dovizioso.
Stefan Bradl's having to work extremely hard to keep Nicky Hayden at bay. We've seen Hayden attack in the early stages of races recently. You see Valentino Rossi is back in front now of Hector Barbera. And Hayden will be strong. How will it develop, though, as the race develops? Well, Casey Stoner, a 122.6 from the Australian. And just in terms of lap records here, Dani Pedrosa last year managed a 121.8. But because there's been very little dry time this weekend, that is one of the fastest laps that we've had so far. Pedrosa managed a 122.3 on Friday morning. No one's been quicker.
Quick look there at Stefan Bradl involved in that battle with Nicky Hayden. Ian?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's the looks like it's the end of Michele Pirro's race. Just returned to pit lane with what looks like a technical problem with that Gresini Honda.
And here he is. That's cruel luck. He had a great ride in Assen.
Looking at the rear of the bike there. Now, I'm not sure what that is, but end of the race for the Italian who's going so well and has had, up to now, a fairly consistent season, really. Okay, first couple of races had crashes, but since then, finished every single one in the points.
Big test for Dani Pedrosa. We keep saying he's got to win a race. We keep saying just his podiums aren't enough. He hasn't won since Japan last year. Can he stay with his teammate, Casey Stoner? No. He's certainly hanging in there at the moment.
He's really fighting to hang in, though. After Stoner went through, look at this pass.
Whoa.
Very fast through there. Just guessing, how quick do we reckon? 185, 190 kilometres an hour, perhaps?
I would reckon so.
Third, fourth gear?
I reckon it caught Dani Pedrosa by surprise as well, because I don't think he would expect Casey Stoner to probably get past him there, but he did. But Pedrosa's hanging in there. If he can hang in there, he's got a great chance of pushing Casey Stoner very, very hard indeed.
Pedrosa's just set the fastest lap of the race behind Stoner, so he went a tenth quicker than the Aussie on that last lap. And as we know, Pedrosa will do his best to hang on to the tyres, as he did in Assen. But then, remember, Stoner had the edge in the latter stage of the race, was able to pull through and win. He has to keep in touch with his teammate.
Yeah, we ride with Dani Pedrosa. There he is. He's firmly in his sights, but actually catching him in passing will not be easy through that series of left-handers at the top of the hill. Down this fast flick right. Great corner. And hold your tummies. Down you plunge down the hill towards turn 12.
Yeah, you would leave your stomach right at the top, wouldn't you? Now, Jorge Lorenzo is through on Ben Spees into third place. Spees now under pressure from Dovizioso and Crutchlow, who's made up that gap to his teammate. Here comes Crutchlow on the inside of Dovizioso. No way through. Dovizioso was very busy thinking about Spees then, down into 12, and Crutchlow saw that, had the run up to 13, but Dovizioso was just hard enough on the brakes to keep his teammates at bay.
He's being harried by the satellite Yamahas, isn't he, Ben Spees? It sort of sums up what's going on for him at the moment.
And
he's
in terms of the
pressure.
career.
Yeah, a career. This is a very, very important race for Ben Spees. He's got to keep those Tech 3 boys behind him.
Yeah, it was Spees running wide. We've seen that a couple of times this season. Remember Estoril when that happened as well, and he dropped down the order there. And it's just a couple of times that Catalunya, for example, ran it wide and then crashed out. Mattia Pezzini has crashed out of this race. Pezzini had a couple this weekend, had the nasty one in pit lane, but thankfully he's walking away okay. Alvaro Bautista now has only got Randy de Punier of the CRT bikes in front of him. should be past him any moment.
I'm just down now in the Gresini pit box with Michele Pirro. Michele, it looks like a technical issue with the bike. What was the problem?
Yes, same problem in Qatar, and yesterday crash, and the bike destroy, and today start not so bad, and possible follow the Depunier and the Spargaro, but it's dangerous and stop.
Okay, commiserations, Michele, thanks.
Well, he's ended his race early, but thankfully he's okay. Said it was dangerous, and probably the best thing to do is pull in that situation. Just saw Cal Crutchlow has got through on Andrea Dovizioso, and Bautista is now past Randy Depunier and into 11th place. Battles hotting up between Brattle, Hayden and Rossi. Rossi's just set his best lap of the race, and he was almost half a second quicker than his teammate.
Yeah, Alvaro Bautista, well, it's damage limitation for the Spaniard after having to start from the back of the grid. He is using that softer compound rear tyre. Be interesting to see how that actually works out. Here's a replay of him getting past Randy Depunier.
Andrea Dovizioso is back in front now of Cal Crutchlow. Another ding-dong battle between the two Tech 3 riders.
Yeah, well, Spees, Dovizioso, Crutchlow. It's that's all in the news at the moment, isn't it? Who's going to get the factory Yamaha ride? Is Crutchlow going to go off to Ducati? Is Dovizioso going to get the factory Honda ride? So much will be decided out there. But at the front, Dani Pedrosa is hanging on there, and in third place, Ben Spees is hanging on. Probably them swapping positions is helping Ben Spees a little bit.
Crutchlow is desperate for this one. He wants to beat both these riders, show his mettle. The last couple of races, he effectively started from the back. Remember, he was an innocent party in the takeout of Lorenzo last time by Bautista. He was hung out to dry on the outside of the track and fought back really, really well eventually to take 5th place in the race. Still got that dislocated, broken ankle, or fractured ankle anyway. No strapping this weekend for Crutchlow.
He's walking pretty well as well. Here's the replay of Andrea Dovizioso, just getting up the inside. It's very, very tight through there, but he's done well. But that isn't going to be the only overtaking manoeuvre between those two as this race progresses.
At the front, good to see Pedrosa able to stick with Stoner. Stoner obviously had a plan. Attack hard from the off, see if anyone would come with him. Pedrosa has. They've dropped their lap times by 0.4, half a second, and they are nearly 3.5 seconds clear of Lorenzo. They're half a second a lap quicker, so Stoner can now ease off and try and manage this race. It's a battle between himself and his teammate. Nicky Hayden is desperate to get past Bradley. He really is holding up the American, but it's not an easy track to pass on. Especially not when Honda has that power out of the corners. Well, he can get the power to the ground out of the corners, and Hayden just labouring as it is to get through on Brattle.
Yeah, he thought about it at turn 12. He just wasn't close enough. This is 13 that bring them back up through the start-finish straight. He may have a nibble at turn 1, but again, that is not going to be easy. Oh, what a battle this is between the Yamahas. Dovizioso gets up the inside of Ben Spees and takes over 4th place.
So Dovizioso through on the factory rider. Cal Crutchlow surely will have a go soon. Just on that previous lap, Brattle had started to close on them as well. So Spees maybe just holding up Dovizioso and Crutchlow a little bit. He didn't have a great morning, actually. The only dry time we had on Friday, Ben Spees, he was down in 10th place. So I just wonder if just not able to get he doesn't have the way that the other Yamaha riders have been able to take the bike out of the box and get it going. He needs a bit of a weekend to work on it, as he had at Assen. And then, of course, he had the misfortune of his tyre chunking during the race when he looked set for a podium.
Certainly did, but Crutchlow all over his rear wheel. Now Crutchlow, as they plunge down the hill, surely he's going to have a go here at Ben Spees. As they race down the hill, up the inside he comes into turn 12. Crutchlow's coming through. Crutchlow is through. Can he make it stick? Can Spees fight back at turn 13?
Yeah, the way Crutchlow made that pass then, hung it enough in the corner to not allow Spees to come back on the inside as well, and it just meant that he could hang on to the position running up to 13. Now, Crutchlow will have to forget quickly about Spees. Spees already looking behind. He knows that Brattle's arriving quickly with Hayden, and now Hector Barbera as well.
Yeah, Hector Barbera's got past Valentino Rossi. But this is turning into one hell of a scrap. It could be a scrap for 4th place all the way down to 10th place. Let's hope that is exactly what happens.
Yeah, they are all strung out behind. Dovizioso is 2.5 seconds down on Jorge Lorenzo, who's just set his best lap of the race, and that's the first time in the race that Lorenzo has been quicker than the 2 leaders, just on a 1:23.0, whereas Stoner and Pedrosa are 1:23.1. Looks to me like management from the Honda riders.
Yeah, here they are, pair of them. Dani Pedrosa led off the line. A bravo taking manoeuvre just before then by Casey Stoner, put him at the front. But Pedrosa isn't not getting away. Often we've seen this season when Stoner's got back in front of him, he's often been able to pull away. But Stoner, we know, could be just keeping his powder dry a little bit and suddenly put in those very quick laps.
Look at Assen. Look at what he did there. They thought they were both going to have edge grip problems at this track, though, so maybe interesting as the race goes on. There may be some developments on that front, because they do spend most of this track with the bike on a lean. There's no real long straight. Okay, the front straight that they have here is 700 meters long, which is under half a mile. So it's, again, there's nowhere to really open the bike, and most of the time on the lead, and that does create its problem with the tyres. From there, out of the Omega corner, there's 6-7 left-handers all in a row.
And here we go. We're starting the left-handers now with Jorge Lorenzo. The first we've really seen of him since he took over 3rd place. Bit of a lonely 3rd place for him. Concentrate hard. Vital World Championship points at stake. He's never won here. He's finished 2nd here the last 3 years, but could be a 3rd place finish for Jorge Lorenzo. It's been a very difficult time for him. Yeah,
it's been a bit of a bogey track over the years for Lorenzo. Just in terms of the weather, Ian, I can see a few dark clouds out there. There's no threat, is there, at all? We were told yesterday there might be some chance of rain today.
Yeah, there's black clouds coming towards the circuit from the back of the final turn. I think we'll be okay, but I wouldn't want to swear to it because there's some ominous-looking black clouds amongst them. I'll just keep a close eye on it.
Yeah, we've had a really tough weekend in terms of the weather here. They've only had one dry practice, which was yesterday morning. Here comes Crutchlow. He thought about it, didn't he, at 12? He looks strong. Looks like he wants to get through on his teammate. But how easy is it to stay ahead of him then?
Yeah, I think Hervé Poncharal, the Tekka 3 team boss, he loves it that they're up there, but he must be watching this race with his fingers closed over his eyes a lot of the time. It's a very, very important race for both riders. Both of them want to have a factory bike next year. Cal Crutchlow has an offer from Ducati. Andrea Dovizioso wants to ride in that factory Yamaha team. It's important for them who is going to finish 4th in this race behind Jorge Lorenzo, Stoner and Pedrosa.
Through down towards turn 7, on board with Dovizioso once more. Look how close Crutchlow goes. He's almost wearing the rear wheel of Andrea Dovizioso, but not this time. That was where Stoner passed Pedrosa, remember, early on in the race, through turn 9, then into turn 10. Now down the hill, and that's all about Crutchlow winding up for an attack at the bottom of the hill into 12.
We ride with Andrea Dovizioso. Oh, he came through once, but Dovizioso left his braking very late. No way through, but he might get really good drive out of here for Cal Crutchlow. Perhaps have a go at turn 13.
I don't know if there's enough there, enough room. We've seen it happen, though, in the past. I remember past there, Rossi and Gibernau in the older days now, I suppose about 9 or 10 years ago, that when... was it Gibernau snatched the victory? He
snatched the victory from him, didn't he? Yeah, I think everybody thought Rossi had won.
Yeah, and Rossi and Stoner having a battle for 3rd there when Rossi came back from injury a couple of years ago. And I think Lorenzo and Stoner having their own battle in there in 2009.
This is Randy de Prunier. He is the leading CRT bike in 12th place. In front of him is Alvaro Bautista, so he's come from that last place up to 11th, which you would expect him to do.
Yeah, the CRT bikes are really spread out now. The big battle is between 4th and 10th, as we said, between Dovizioso, Crutchlow, then Spees half a second back, Brattle, Barbara, Hayden and Rossi. Then there's a 4-second gap back to Bautista. Then it's de Prunier by himself, Espargaro 13th, Edwards in 14th going well, Yoni Hernandez 15th, Ellison 16th, Silva in 17th, Battaini in 18th, and Danilo Petrucci down in 19th place.
Yeah, just one man out of the race so far, Michele Pirro with a mechanical
Mattia
problem.
Bassini, of course.
Mattia Bassini, sorry, with the crash as well.
Currently, on this lap, Stoner is pulling away a little bit, just eking up the pace. He dropped back to a 122.9 on the previous lap. He's 3/10 quicker on this one, but Pedrosa's reacted. He had to go, he lost a couple of tenths on that lap, but I think he has reacted to Stoner just pushing the pace a bit more, feeling out the conditions.
Well, this is going to be about... Ben Spees has come right back into this one. He doesn't want those satellite Yamahas to finish in front of him. He wants a new Yamaha contract and he wants it quick, so he's got to beat the satellite bikes. Andrea Dovizioso and Cal Crutchlow, they want factory bikes. This is going to be one hell of a battle. And not far behind, Stefan Bradl is bringing along the pack. And I'll tell you who's riding well in that race is the much maligned Hector Barbera.
Yeah, up in 8th place ahead of Hayden and Rossi now. He's the top Ducati in this one. You saw the front pumping there from Stefan Bradl as he pushes hard. The bike goes really light over the top down as they go over 6 and drop down towards 7. You could see he was fighting with the machine as he came down towards the bottom end of the circuit. Climbing back uphill, we're on board with the German now.
It continues. Andrea Dovizioso leads his teammate Cal Crutchlow. Will Crutchlow have another nibble? I tell you what, Dovizioso's very, very good, isn't he, through a turn 12, and he doesn't really give Crutchlow a great opportunity to get through there.
I think he needs to think of another tactic here, Crutchlow, because he's pressurising him. I'm not sure he's actually tried to make a move yet, but he's sounded Dovizioso out, and it's not quite been possible. So maybe he needs to think, right, where else? Where's the weak point? One thing about Dovizioso is he's such a strong braker. He always is extremely late. Crutchlow himself is very good. You just saw there, Dovizioso took turn 1 much better than Crutchlow on that previous lap. At the front, talking about the last laps, look at this. Dani Pedrosa's just set the fastest. And Stoner wasn't much slower though. He was only a couple of hundredths outside of that lap from Pedrosa, but just shows that Pedrosa can react. Saw Spees get a good start away. Pedrosa, as you always expect, down towards turn 1. Spees has the inside line, but watch Stoner in there. He just hangs the bike on the outside and claims second. That was crucial actually for this race. If it had been stuck behind Spees, wouldn't have been easy to get past.
We ride with Dani Pedrosa. There he goes past Spees and Stoner into turn 1. Will we get a view of Stoner and Spees? We'll probably get a very good view of it actually. Yeah, and Stoner, as you say, absolutely crucial. I think if he'd got the Yamaha between them, Pedrosa would have really gone for it the first lap. But Pedrosa's doing a good job in this race. He's not letting Casey Stoner get away. Stoner, I think, has probably just tried once to break him a little bit, and it hasn't happened.
Exactly, like Crutchlow pushing Dovizioso, Stoner's pushing every now and then just to sort of say, right, can Danny come with me? What has he got? Pedrosa looks very smooth through there. Just saw a little wobble from Stoner at the halfway point of the race, of course, and won't be too worried just yet, but Pedrosa still looks extremely wheels in line, confident on the bike.
Beautiful shot as they come over the top, and plunge down through turn 7.
This is the fast turn 11 down the hill. So they really have to throw the bike over onto the right-hand side as they come down that hill. Probably somewhere Jorge Lorenzo struggling with his ankle problems this weekend.
Well, Pedrosa certainly visually is closer this time round, isn't he?
I mean, he's having a good couple of laps here. He's probably thinking, I'm going to do to Casey what he did to me at Assen.
Dead right. Push, then see if he can get past him. Up towards turn 13. This was the last lap. It would be a little bit more frenzied than this, probably. Certainly there's some darker clouds now appearing over the circuit. What do we got? 14 laps to go and they cross the line. Let's really keep our fingers crossed that this isn't going to spoil this particular battle between the two Honda riders.
You just saw a little wobble there from Casey Stoner going down into turn 1. Just getting the bike stopped was a bit more of a chore than it has been.
Great on-board stuff, switching from rider to rider. The Ferris wheel away to our left. This is the Sachsenring up the hill now. Then swoop over the top, then plunge downhill towards turn 7. Oh, don't you wish you could ride a motorbike like that?
5 and 6, and this is where Nick's on about, down the hill. Look at the grandstands packed to the left, over 80,000 fans packed into the Sachsenring once more. It's been a great crowd considering how wet it's been here this weekend.
We ride with Dani Pedrosa. The man in front of him is Casey Stoner. Up the top of the hill, another series of left-handers, and suddenly flick it right, 5th gear, and plunge down the hill. Here we go.
Over the top once more. No way Dani Pedrosa is going to get past Stoner from that kind of distance. Again, is Stoner pushing, or is he running at a pace he knows he can go to the end of the race with a bit more in the bag? Is Pedrosa having to push? Is he thinking, right, I have to make this into a scrap. I have to make a move on my teammate. I'll tell you what, that bike in front of him is going to be like a bus trying to get past it.
There's only 2 people in the world know that answer. And they're both out there at the moment. So we don't know, I think, is the answer. But Dani Pedrosa is doing a very good job. And I think perhaps earlier in the season or at different circuits, we may have seen him start to drop back, but he's not doing that at all in any way at the moment.
Nothing to choose between them on that last lap, a 1:23.1 from Casey Stoner. Is it problems? Is it management? We'll find out in the next 12 and a half laps as they come back over through 5, through 6, and down to the bottom of the circuit once more into 7. It's 30 laps of this track, really busy circuit. And behind they're keeping busy as well. Dovizioso, Crutchlow and Spees all still battling for 4th. Lorenzo alone on board with him in 3rd.
I'm not sure about this. I don't know if anybody's playing games, but
I don't know about playing
games. No, sorry, that's not really the right word. I don't know what the thinking is, but I fancy Dani Pedrosa in this situation as it stands at the moment.
You've got to be canny. You really do in these races. It's all very well going hard from the off, but we can see what happens. You'll lose tyre. Look at Pedrosa. Led for most of that Assen race, but Stoner had just sat there thinking, I know I've got more in the bag. Has he got any more? And I think Pedrosa's sounding out Stoner at the moment. The lap times have dropped by another 10th, and it could well be that Pedrosa does have more in the bag and Stoner doesn't. Pedrosa gets through. Now, the interesting thing here is, if Stoner attacks quickly, I think that means he doesn't have that much more available.
Yeah, perhaps he's quite happy for Dani Pedrosa to lead the way for a little while. They're under no threat from Jorge Lorenzo behind.
What I mean there is, if he does attack, yeah, look, already Pedrosa through the left-handers, looking much stronger than Stoner. And just wonder if he's got some kind of problem. I'm trying to look at his rear tyre. Look, that's a problem. Yeah. You don't want to do that. He'd want to make a move back at Pedrosa quickly. This could really open up the championship now.
Yeah, it could bring Dani Pedrosa right into the mix. His last Grand Prix victory was Motegi in Japan last year. He had a miserable injury-hit season, but he loves this place, Dani Pedrosa.
He really has the hammer down as well. He's already taken half a second out of Stoner thanks to that wobble for the Australian, who will just want to get things back in line and see if he can throw some kind of move back at his teammate.
Well, Jorge Lorenzo should be thanking his countryman at the moment, because he salvaged 5 points. If it's 25 plays 20, but...
but Pedrosa is going to close right in on him. If it stayed like this, Pedrosa would only be 10 points behind Lorenzo.
And don't let's write off Casey Stoner just yet. Well, me anyway.
I don't think it's that bad a situation as things stand.
Just keep an eye on Ben Spees as well, because he's closing fast onto the back of that battle between the Tech 3 Monster Yamaha riders, Crutchlow and Dovizioso. And I think he wants a piece of the action as well now, Spees.
Their lap times on the previous lap, Dovizioso, Crutchlow and Spees. Dovizioso did a 1:23.793. For Crutchlow, 0.792. For Spees, 0.791. Almost identical from the 3 Yamaha riders.
Casey Stoner is still in there. 10.5 laps ago, up over the hill they go. Plunge down right side. I wonder if he's quite happy with this situation, Casey Stoner, just to let Dani Pedrosa do a bit of donkey work at the front.
Well, he's clearly come back into it. He's right on the tail of Pedrosa, says, right, I'm going to make this difficult for you.
I think we all love races when there's lots of riders fighting for I also love races when it's just 2 riders, and tactically in every way. This is a fabulous battle.
Even better when they're teammates
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
right.
Down the home straight once more. Stoner to the inside of Dani Pedrosa. Pedrosa breaks later than the Australian, but Casey Stoner will have the wider line to pull back as they drop down the hill once more into turn 2. These long radius corners, 1 and 2, and then this big long right-hander for Casey Stoner where he had a crash. That came
in the morning warm-up,
didn't it? And, well, it's okay for the moment through there. Wow, that lap from Stoner was his best of the race. So
that's our answer then, isn't it?
Nicky Hayden and Valentino Rossi have both got back past Hector Barbera now, who's maybe having a couple of problems again. And they're back onto the rear of Stefan Bradl. Some great battles going on down there, but it's hard to take your eyes off the battle for the lead, of course.
It is. It's one of those races, thank goodness. This is great MotoGP. Downhill they come through the fast right-hander, down towards turn 12. Stoner was going to make a move, it's probably here, but I think at the moment he's closed right up on Dani Pedrosa and he's quite happy to be exactly where he is situated. No problems from behind with Jorge Lorenzo. He can just concentrate on trying to get back in front of the Spaniard, who's chasing a hat-trick of wins here at the Sachsenring.
Look how well Stoner got out the final corner. That was Pedrosa's bike pumping then as they came into the start-finish straight. He might have the drive, but Pedrosa has it at the end and keeps Stoner at bay once more. Right, they know they've got a big gap back to Stoner. They can battle all they like up in front. Lorenzo clear in third. This is a great battle going on for fourth, though. 3 Yamaha riders. It's Dovizioso, Crutchlow, Spees with the wide line, but to cut the late apex across turn 1.
There's so much at stake in this particular battle, and it's just not fourth place in the championship, I can assure you.
I'll tell you, there's another good battle going to happen soon. Not only is Nicky Hayden, Hector Barbera and Valentino Rossi there, but Alvaro Bautista is closing by almost half a second a lap on those riders ahead of him.
It's a great ride by Alvaro Bautista. He took the gamble of the softer compound tyre and seems to be paying off at the moment. There is Brattle, Nicky Hayden.
Hector Barbera's got back in front of
Valentino Rossi. Yeah, I just hesitated. He is back in front. Bottom out circuit, then they start to climb again through turn 8. Succession of left-handers. How much of a pounding are these rear tyres taking in these conditions? Well, they have gone for the harder compound. It's only Alvaro Bautista, and if he lasts the pace and gets up with ease, some would think perhaps we should have done that.
At the front, across the line once more. Pedrosa still leads Stoner by just a 1/10 of a second. They both have it there, and we thought maybe it's going to be a carbon copy of Assen, but with the riders' roles reversed. But Stoner has stuck back in there.
Well, yeah, Ducati team just caused a little bit of a panic on pit lane there because they've just started to warm up the number 2 bikes for Valentino Rossi and Nicky Hayden whilst looking at the dark clouds approaching the circuit. But to be honest, I think it's just precautionary after a minor heart
flutter.
Yeah, the other teams have just gone back to watching the monitors.
You never know.
I bet that caused one hell of a stir. Here we go. Dani Pedrosa.
Pedrosa getting past Casey Stoner when he did down at turn 1. He is stronger down there, that much is clear. Stoner needs to come to something different, as he did when he passed Stoner on the second lap.
Nakamoto-san just looks on while his 2 riders are out there. He should be happy enough, shouldn't he? But a bit like Hervé Poncharal in that battle for 4th place. You just hope everybody knows what they're doing.
Ooh, very close between them once more. Stoner still fancies this one now. You can see he's looking aggressive. We're into the closing stages of this race now. Ben Spees has just dropped off the back of Crutchlow, and Crutchlow is looking like he's going to attack Dovizioso too soon because they were almost together as they came through the 3rd split, but Spees a bit further behind.
7 laps to go, they tip it into turn 1. Pedrosa still leads the way from his Honda teammate, Casey Stoner.
On board with Jorge Lorenzo.
Yeah, lonely
if
old ride.
Stay the way it is, he will not be joint leader in the championship anymore. That advantage will go to Casey Stoner. It will be a slim advantage of 4 points, but just imagine Stoner gets back in front and it would be 9. And at the end of the season, all those points are crucial.
The battle rages for 4th place. Still it's Andrea Dovizioso in front of his Tech 3 teammate, Cal Crutchlow. Ben Spees hanging on by his fingernails, praying he doesn't hit the tyre problems he suffered in Assen just 8 days ago.
Is really strong in this part of the track. Not so much in turns 1 and 2. He said early in the weekend, last year I was rubbish in the whole circuit. Now it's just the first part. The rest of it, I feel as good as anyone else. And he's certainly showing in this sector. He just can't find a way through on Dovizioso.
Well, he's surely going to have a go down at turn 12, safely through. Now down the right-hander, and Ben Spees closes up on Crutchlow as well. This is going to be one hell of a bend. Here they come. They fan out across the track, and they just about remain in formation. Whoa. This is going to continue to the end, isn't it?
I hope so. Someone's tyres will go, something like that in the latter stages. Still, when they come across the line, 6 laps remaining for these riders. Still, Pedrosa and Stoner battle it out at the front. They were so neck and neck across that last lap. Nothing to choose in every single sector between the two Repsol Honda riders. Very dark down at turn 1 as Dovizioso, Crutchlow and Spees file through once more in their battle for 4th place.
Battle for 4th place, and perhaps a signature on that Yamaha contract next season. This certainly will play a part in those discussions. This is the race for 4th place. Dovizioso, Crutchlow and Spees, but at the front, it's still the 2 Honda men fighting it out to the checkered flag. Who's going to be top?
And there they are. Dani Pedrosa still leads them down the hill. See how much pace he carried into turn 12 this time. Stoner, maybe a different tactic. Is he thinking about getting the drive up towards turn 13, perhaps? This is Dovizioso and Crutchlow coming over the top. So we're not going to see if Stoner makes that move. What about Crutchlow on the inside again? Got to think of something different. Is it going to be towards turn 13 this time? He's got the inside line as Crutchlow heading up towards the final corner, but he's outbraked once more.
Not only is he having to think about getting past Andrea Dovizioso, any move 1 inch out of line, and Ben Spees is going to take him as well, isn't he? 5 laps to go.
And that's a big moment. Crutchlow's going to run it wide into the gravel as well. Cal Crutchlow has to bring that back as quickly as possible. And that's the end of his race for 4th place.
Oh, bad luck.
He's going to drop right down now. He will go right down to
behind Alvaro Bautista, yeah. Dear, oh dear. Right, now it's 2 then.
You just see, it just wouldn't stick and turn into the corner. You saw his bike, it was fishtailing up, and then when it hit the ground, it almost threw him off. Hervé Poncharal. Well, it's frustration, that from Crutchlow, trying to find a way through on Dovizioso, but that's why Dovizioso is so strong.
He is an absolute demon on the brakes, isn't he? He made life very hard for Cal Crutchlow at the front. 4.5 to go. They're getting in amongst the back markers now. They're both safely through.
Pedrosa did really well there. Tried to use Ivan Silva and Petrucci as a kind of buffer. Not sure where they got the blue flag there, because it's almost as if they didn't know the leaders were coming.
They were coming, and they were coming fast. 4 laps to go, down into turn 1. Pedrosa chasing that first win of the season. Casey Stoner wants to increase his lead in the World Championships. Nothing Jorge Lorenzo can do but stay calm, stay firm, and pick up 16 points in 3rd place.
Yeah, and hope something happens between the 2 Repsol Honda riders. A back marker, perhaps, getting in the way, a lap rider who hasn't seen the blue flags. Cal Crutchlow's right on the rear now of Alvaro Bautista. What a disappointment for him. And, well, may well be. Something like that, maybe enough to make him say, you know what, I think I've got to go to Gatti, maybe Dovizioso and Spees, maybe they're ahead in the pecking order for me at Yamaha. He'll think he deserves it. Oh, again, is it going to be through turn 9? I think Pedrosa was wise to it this time.
They caught him by surprise when he took the lead early in the race. Casey Stoner on Dani Pedrosa, fabulous move up the top there. We ride now with Dani Pedrosa right behind him. Number 1 in his face is the world champion, Casey Stoner, down at turn 12. Very close indeed to get good drive out of here. He might have a go at 13. Here we go. No, not close enough. Up through 13. When they cross the line, there will be just 3 laps to go. Classic MotoGP racing here at the Sachsenring in Germany.
Really good head-to-head battle between the 2 Repsol Honda riders. Stoner pushing so hard down into turn 1. Pedrosa seems to have it really nice in there. Tens times down in the Repsol Honda garage. Lorenzo is comfortably in third. A great battle still going on between Dovizioso and Spees for fourth place. But Stefan Bradl, meanwhile, of course, in sixth place, is hanging on, and that would be a great performance in the dry conditions for Brattle. Would be his best in the dry on board the LCR Honda.
2.5 laps to go. When is Casey Stoner going to make a move? He's going to have to make it quick. This is what he did.
Slight slip from Pedrosa coming down into towards turn 7. That means Stoner could well have the run into 9. Here he comes. He's going to go around the outside this time. You see how Pedrosa's closing that line now. He's wise to Stoner's move.
Brilliant stuff. Two great Grand Prix riders almost side by side as they go through the 5th gear. Right hand, and they plunge down the hill, and Stoner again not quite close enough.
He just didn't have the drive. He tried to carry some pace through, but you saw the wobble from him. Couldn't get the power down to the ground. The tyres are going. Now Franco Battaini lining up, and Pedrosa's going to try and use him to get in between them, but it doesn't happen. Stoner gets a really nice drive out the final corner, but it's hard to power it past Dani Pedrosa. Here they come down towards turn 1. 2 laps to go in the German Grand Prix. It's going to be a grandstand finish in the MotoGP race, 8th round of the season.
Safely through turn 1. Battaini did well. I thought he was going to mess it for a minute. I really did. Down at the Omega curve, round the right hand. And now the series of left starts as they start climbing up the hill once again.
Here they go into turns 4 and then 5 over the top. This is 5, the clip, the inside, and then at 6 it crests out and they start to go through now. That's Valentino Rossi who's just pushed through. He's got past Hayden, and Hayden's right at the back of the group now. Not sure at all what happened there, but somehow Hayden's been pushed to the back behind Crutchlow.
Yeah, great ride by Stefan Bradl. He is hanging on there to the pride of Germany. Well done, Cal Crutchlow.
That's
and
Alvaro
Bautista. That softer compound tyre seems to be sticking to the pace. 1.5 laps to go. This is the battle for 6th place. We have a great battle for 4th place. An amazing battle at the front for the race winner.
A really good to see battles all over for positions. It's Rossi now into 7th, hoping to get up into that 6th place. Wonder if there's any chance for him to do so. It would be his best dry result of the season. Last lap for the leaders. Bit of a wheelie from Casey Stoner. Where can he conjure up a move on Dani Pedrosa? Here comes Bautista on the inside. On both Rossi and Brattle. But Brattle's going to come back through on exit.
Wow, Alvaro Bautista, memories of Assen just flashed into my mind.
And
here comes Crutchlow up the inside of Bautista.
Use that moment for Bautista to come through on him, and they go side by side, 3 of them across the line.
Yeah, Hector Barbara joining in the fun. He had some rare old battles with Alvaro Bautista in the 250cc class.
Dani Pedrosa just set the fastest lap of the race on that previous one. He was matched all the way by Stoner, but I just can't see a way through for the Australian. Pedrosa is pushing to the absolute limit. He'll be gritting his teeth, pushing and holding on by his fingernails at the front. Surely there's no way through for Stoner.
Up over the top they come for the last time. Time running out for the world champion. He's very, very close indeed. They plunge down the hill. They're going to break and sit up any moment now for turn 12. He's not close enough. Surely Dani Pedrosa's going to...
He's off. Down goes Casey Stoner at turn 12. Trying something. Trying to close in. Can he get the bike going? What drama here. The championship blown wide open as Dani Pedrosa wins the German Grand Prix.
And it's raining on the circuit
and it started to rain. Right, it's going to be Jorge Lorenzo in 2nd place. And here is Jorge Lorenzo. That's Danilo Petrucci behind him. He's lapped him. Boy, he's been handed it. Jorge Lorenzo retakes the lead in the World Championship. Casey Stoner crashes out on the last lap.
And he hasn't got the bike going. So Stoner is going to be out. And it's going to be another podium for Andrea Dovizioso. In 3rd place, the rain has started falling. That's cost Stoner the race. Bradle eventually comes home in 5th place. His best dry result. Then it's Rossi 6th, Bautista 7th, Crutchlow 8th, Barbara in 9th, Nicky Hayden in 10th, and Casey Stoner is trudging away. That's the first time he's crashed out of a race since Jerez, when he was taken out by Valentino Rossi last year.
Assen, Lorenzo trudged away. Sachsenring, Stoner walking away. This World Championship is on the boil. Well done, Randy de Prunier, the first CRT bike in 11th place. Colin Edwards having a great ride up into 12th spot. Wow, fastest lap of the race on that very last lap from Dani Pedrosa. The rain was starting to fall. The good news is that Casey Stoner is okay. 14 points now between Jorge Lorenzo and Dani Pedrosa, second in the championship. Casey Stoner down in third place. What an afternoon.
Woo. Unbelievable. Here we go. He's got that wider line, just trying to stay in there, give himself a chance in the final corner. And down he goes. You just saw the front fold. Have a look once more. The front tyre of number one, Casey Stoner. Watch the front fold away from him. Down he goes. We haven't seen a crash from him, from his own volition, since he was at the Ducati.
Yeah, Dani, my God, he gets up
race,
quick. Yeah, he gets up so quick. I think he still thinks he's got a chance of getting back in the race. Well, mixed feelings, obviously. Well, nobody wants to see Casey Stoner crash, but let's hand it to Dani Pedrosa. His first win of the season, his first win since Beque in Japan last year, and he moves up into second place in the World Championship. 8 rounds gone. Wow.
It's game on. 3 riders within 20 points at the top of the standings now. It's going to rumble on all the way down to Valencia. I can just feel it.
I can feel it rumbling.
Just for third, Andrea Dovizioso pit Ben Spees by 0.07 of a second, and that's over a 41-minute race.
Valentino Rossi shakes the hands of Dani Pedrosa. Nicky Hayden also there
Rossi's
as well.
best dry result this season on a Ducati. He was in 6th place in the end, behind Brattle, and that's his best dry result in front of his home fans.
Wow, Dani Pedrosa. I wonder if he knew that Stoner had gone. Probably not until he got to over the line. He's probably wondering where he is now, but yeah, probably not. Here he is, into Parc Ferme. Well, you have blown the World Championship wide open, Dani Pedrosa. Thank you very much. That's just what we wanted. We fancied him throughout the weekend, but he rode quite brilliantly under a really fierce attack from Casey Stoner. And for once, it was the world champion that faltered when it really mattered.
And it was one of those, there just wasn't a way through. He rode the fastest lap of the race on the last lap. Who does that when the tyres have gone like they were going? They've obviously lasted right to the end. They've worked to perfection. I'm not sure there was too much of a drop-off, just obviously a little bit, and disappointment for Stoner. Not fury, I'm sure, as well. He was there. I think he just wanted to make the move, and it might have been one of those where you sit tight and take your 20 points.
Oh, here we go. We're riding now with Dani Pedrosa. Oh. Yeah, front end just tucked away. Yeah, I wonder if Pedrosa knew he'd gone.
He's okay, thankfully.
He's so quick on his feet. He's thinking, right, I can get something out of this. Well done, Stefan Bradl. 5th place for the German, and that's what the crowd think about it, and rightly so.
I think Lorenzo will be one who's delighted with that result. He goes back to the top after a really tough weekend.
You blink, don't you, in Grand Prix racing, and the situation just completely changes. There we are, working out World Championship positions and everything else, and suddenly it's blown wide open. Lorenzo back on top, Pedrosa into 2nd place, and big celebrations there for Stefan Bradl.
Yeah, Mum's in the pits as well, and I think he's wearing quite a lot of rubber, not of his own, on his leathers there. Oh, great ride. Well done, Stefan Bradl. Unlucky Ben Spees to have missed out by 0.07 of a second. You've got Valentino Rossi, his best ride. Well done, Alvaro Bautista coming through, but all credit to Dovizioso. His 3rd podium now of a season, and he is demanding a contract, isn't he? He really is saying to Yamaha, come on, give me something. He's riding superbly. What a day's racing in MotoGP at Sachsenring. And we've still got Moto3 to come with a few spots of rain in the air. I'll tell you what, all hell could break loose there. Big gap for Pedrosa as he won the race by 15 seconds after Stoner crashed out on the penultimate corner. Lorenzo 2nd, Andrea Dovizioso in 3rd place. Crutchlow eventually having to settle for 8th. It was a massive battle as they all came across the line. Nothing to choose between 5th and Nicky Hayden in 10th place. Time to catch our breath a little bit now at the end of that one. 80,000 spectators have suffered in the rain yesterday, but they've been rewarded with a great race in MotoGP. There's Hayden. Depunier top CRT. He'll be in Parc Ferme with the boys. Colin Edwards rode well to be second. It was all spaced out a bit for the CRT riders, but good for Edwards to be back in the mix of the CRT machines. So James Ellison taking the last point and Stoner crashing out. We haven't said that since Jerez last year. That was a collision when Valentino Rossi rode up the inside of him. And before that, it was in his time at Ducati. There is Rossi, knows one of the bosses of Audi is here. Puts on a good show, of course. What will he do next year? All sorts of questions about that. Will he stay with Ducati? Is there any room for him at Honda or Yamaha next year? Lots and lots of questions in the future. He will be around for another couple of seasons at least, he says. He wants to get back to winning races. You could see the dark clouds looming. And as Ian told us, there were a few drops of rain right at the end of the race. That was a move from Rossi. He just waited. I don't know what happened to Nicky Hayden, though. It'll be interesting to hear from him because he suddenly went from 6th place, challenging Brattle, right the way down to 10th. So we'll have to listen to what the Kentucky kid has to say following that one. And there is the top CRT rider, Randy Depunier. Dovi being chanted out by some of the people around Parc Ferme, but yeah, Depunier on top, and now he is the top CRT rider in the championships, just a point ahead of his teammate Aleix Espargaro.
And of course, the Vizioso moving in front of Cal Crutchlow in the championship as well in that particular battle. Here we go with the Riders' Championship. Well, with a lap to go, you wouldn't have believed this, would you? But a 14-point advantage for Jorge Lorenzo over Dani Pedrosa. Casey Stoner following the crash, dropping to 3rd place in the championship. Ben Spees remains in 10th place. Difficult ride for him, but you've got to say Dovizioso rode quite brilliantly. And as Gavin said, Randy Depunier taking over that CRT crown from his teammate, but it couldn't be closer, just 1 point behind them. And poor old Carol Abraham missing the last 2 races with that hand injury, and from what we hear, he may miss Mugello as well.
May well miss Mugello. It's not confirmed yet, but there is talk that Battaini will be on that bike once more. Franco finished in 16th place, Ducati tester. There's Cal Crutchlow's machine, unfortunately, 8th place for him. Just pushing, he's just trying to, like Stoner, couldn't find a way through on Dovizioso, as Stoner couldn't on Pedrosa.
Blaming himself, but it's hard.
Well, no, but he only has himself to blame in that, of course, because he's trying to find a way through. But it's attacking. He's done it attacking. It's not like, you know.
Dead right, having a go. But Dani Pedrosa, that was a great ride. Long before that final lap, it was a great ride by Dani Pedrosa. He held in there when he had to. And this is the race winning manoeuvre. We ride with Casey Stoner. It's Dani Pedrosa up at turn 1.
He was so good out of the final corner.
Yeah.
The way he picks that bike up from the corner. Okay, the Honda's great, that seamless shift. But I tell you what, the way he gets the bike stood up and powers down the straight, he was hardly ever going to attack him down into 1. And that's why Stoner had made the move down at 9 in the first place.
One side of the pit box celebrate, the other side.
They're almost looking to say, where's Stoner?
Oh, yeah, well, I think he was almost looking, don't you, to think that, Dani Pedrosa? Yeah, well. There we go, Casey Stoner is okay. That is the main thing, just 2 bends from an epic battle with his teammate Dani Pedrosa.
It wasn't one of those where they swapped positions every single lap, but I tell you what, that 22.3 from Pedrosa on the last lap of the race, 30 laps on the tyres, was the fastest lap of the weekend that we've seen here. Incredible. And Stoner was there with him until 2 corners from the end. Just might have been one of those moments to try and settle for 20 points.
Dead right. There's the CRT category, as we said. Well, it's Randy Depunier that were equal on points with Aleix Espargaro.
We've got it on our other one that he's
1 point in front
ahead.
Yeah.
And I think he will be, because he was 2 places ahead of Espargaro in the race.
Kelly Pirro, anyway, we know that he was out of the race, don't we, with a mechanical problem. Great view of the Sachsenring. Well, Moto 2, MotoGP gone, still Moto 3 to come. And if any indications from Assen are to be looked at, stay in your seats, because I think that's going to be equally as close.
Mugello is such a great circuit as well to race on. Remember, Lorenzo won from 5th on the grid last year, so another second place for Lorenzo here as well.
Yeah, 4 in a row.
Yeah.
God.
This is how the teams line up now, with Repsol Honda still top of the pile despite Stoner not scoring today. Yeah, and you can see at the bottom, Guardian AB. No Carol Abraham, no points with Battaini today, and not sure if he's going to be at Mugello as well. He probably wants to save himself, not ruin it for the rest of his season.
Constructors' Championship, well, 176 apiece. Honda and Yamaha, that is just fantastic. The two major Japanese manufacturers fight it out at the front. Ducati desperate to be up there with them. They're not at the moment. ART, FTR, Iota, BQR, Suter and BQR, FTR.
So the riders have just come past us, and now they're making their way up towards the podium. This is where the race was decided. Stoner front folding.
I mean, I think Dani Pedrosa was going to win the race anyway, didn't you? But at that stage, I don't know. Perhaps Stoner was trying to get great drive out to have a go at turn 13.
Tried to go deeper in to cut back across it.
Yeah. Casey Stoner's okay. That's the important thing. And another race in just 7 days' time at Mugello in Italy.
And there is Alberto Perch just shaking hands with Christian Gabarini, who is Casey Stoner's crew chief. And opposite sides of the garage. Still a decent relationship, as there has to be, of course.
This is probably the winner's side of the garage. It certainly is. And but they don't want to see anybody crash, of course they don't. But their man now has moved into second place, and he's pushed Casey Stoner back to third.
Nakamoto-san just on the left of the picture.
Waiting for their man to arrive on the top step of the podium for the first time this season.
And again, it's come at Sachsenring.
Yeah.
3 years in a row now. He has been the king of this place.
The big winner, really, you've got to say, probably more than anybody, is Jorge Lorenzo, isn't it?
I don't know. Dani Pedrosa still in with a shout here. And that's, he's just opened the championship up, okay, for Lorenzo, but for himself.
Great ride by Dovizioso, who's just taken his step on the podium. Now here comes Jorge Lorenzo. I think with the heat of the back and everything at the front, we've probably forgotten just how well he rode, and where does his future lie? But Dani Pedrosa's future almost certainly lies with Honda, and he continues like this. He's going to push hard for the championship.
Torx even signed that contract this weekend, and he's just justified it, hasn't it?
Dead right, he has. Well, this is going to be the third podium finish of the season for Andrea Dovizioso. Of course, he was in that Repsol Honda team last season, joined Tech 3, said sometimes you have to take a step back to go forward, but I think he's doing exactly that at the moment. Another third place for the Italian.
It's going to be hard to overlook him. Definitely, he's put himself in the shop window.
A lonely old ride for Jorge Lorenzo, who I think is going to stand up in the end. Yeah, he is. Lonely ride, he thought, for third place. It turned out it was for second place, and he retakes the lead in the World Championship that he shared with Casey Stoner before the start of this 30-lap race.
Dani Pedrosa, for the third year in succession, lifts the winner's trophy aloft here at the Sachsenring. And it brings him back into the World Championship reckoning.
Congratulations to Dani Pedrosa, his first win of the season. Alberto Pucci's mentor looks on. That was Pedrosa at his best. Jorge Lorenzo second, Dovizioso third. But
Pedrosa now needs to keep that going. And he has every chance of getting involved in this World Championship. Soaking Mike Leitner as well. I think you've got the speaker, almost the Prime Minister of Saxony as well in there.
Dani Pedrosa, der duscht hier seine Gucci von Mike Leitner mal richtig ab. Haben auch noch ein paar Tröpfchen mitbekommen.